Off. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. I thought I was going to have to restart this all over again, but obviously I don't. Yay! I got hammered this weekend. No, I don't drink alcohol. When I say I got hammered with work this weekend. And my freezer, everybody heard my freezer conked out. So I had to can the chicken that was still partially frozen, and I cooked the cottage roll that was still partially frozen, and I put the bacon in the small freezer that was still partially frozen. But hang on a second. Let me remove this comment so that nobody thinks they have to go looking for another link. And I canned the chicken, I cooked the cottage roll, I put the bacon in the freezer, and Howie figured out what was wrong with it. I have been begging him to put the hinges back on it for well over a year. But what happened is, you know how I put a towel on my little freezer, or on the big freezer when I've got my dehydrator? Well, a towel had fallen down between the wall and the freezer where the exhaust vent comes out. And if you block that vent, your freezer has to work 3, 4, 5 times as hard to keep things frozen. So Howie just pulled the towel out, pulled the freezer out from the wall, and it's all tickety-boo again. And he's put the hinges back on it. So unfortunately, the pork chops that thawed, they're sitting in that freezer, refreezing, but they are going in the garbage. Everything, all the meat that was in that freezer is going in the garbage, except the chicken because it was recent, and the cottage roll because it's pickled, and the bacon, and that stuff was still partially frozen. The rest had thawed and frozen, or I couldn't trust that it hadn't thawed and refrozen, okay? Hey, let me say hi. Hang on a second. I know I'm supposed to give people time to get in and watch the ads first, but, I'm here. So, Audrey Abbott, Celeste Auto Care, Fokker Consulting, Debbie's Cooking, Marla Cato, Mary Cook, Simwa, Tammy Eaker, Chaos, and Tokazox. So, now let's be on live chat. So anyway, hi, Rebecca and Betty Randall. So this is kind of an update on that. The freezer's not broken after all. So this week, before garbage day, because all the meat that I'm throwing out is going to stay frozen until the night before garbage day, because I don't want to put raw meat out in a garbage can for the next 3 or 4 days, right? So when that meat goes in the garbage, the flour is coming out and the rice is coming out, and it's going to get restored. Like the flour is going to go into smaller bags and go back into the freezer in a Costco shopping bag. But before that, when everything comes out of the freezer, the meat and everything, Howie's going to clean the freezer. And then it's ready for the side of beef. So I couldn't afford it, but I spent $125 on a secondhand small Danby. In case my freezer really had conked out, I would need something to store my vegetables and stuff in while I'm waiting to be able to buy a bigger freezer. But my big freezer is back on track. My little freezer is getting defrosted tomorrow. And the new little freezer is in my pantry, and that's just going to be like my bread and butter freezer. Hey, Joe Mama. Helen Burke. M. Sherry Leach. Katharina. Jennifer Hall. Bronwyn P. Pearly White. Karen Parsons. Well, hello. Tammy Jones, hubby put together another shelving unit for me. I need Angie and her organizing skills. Tell me about it. should see my kitchen right now. As soon as I'm finished editing the next couple of videos, because yes, I canned the chicken that I took out of the freezer. And I've done my tomatoes and my garden medley vegetables and stuff like that. So there's videos going to be all this week. But I wanted to tell you something about, hey, Eddie Biggie. Hi, Nana. Mama Dix. Look, everybody got here. Isn't that awesome? I got to tell you before I talk about the zucchini, I have left Facebook permanently. I have left Instagram, also owned by Mark Zuckerberg, permanently. I do not have Facebook Messenger anymore. You'll see a link at the top of this thread, the comment thread, showing Gab. And the only messenger I will use, other than personal messaging on my phone, is going to be at Signal. Okay? Mrs. Wolfe at Signal. Okay? So please know that on Gab, that's my new social media network, you're going to see a lot of things you hate in the threads. You're going to see a lot, but the truth is it's uncensored, so everybody gets to say what they want, but you got to take the kooks along with the perks, okay? So I'm not saying everybody on there's kooks. I'm just saying be warned. It's not censored. And I'm rebuilding the Connected Hearts group on Gab. So Facebook, guys, Facebook and Instagram and TikTok are no longer parts of my life. I will not support. Yes, I won't support censorship in social media. I am censored here on YouTube as to what I'm allowed to talk about and what I'm not allowed to talk about. So if you want to hear my opinions in the raw, then you need to go, oh, I better put Rumble up here. And you need to go over to my Rumble, because that's where I'm going to where I'm starting to get really back to the Mrs. Wolfe everybody knew and loved, when they all, half the population thought I was absolutely insane, and the other half thought I was visionary. And it turns out I've got old footage that shows I predicted a lot of these things a while ago. Anyway, here is my Rumble page. So that's where I am. I'm on Rumble, I'm on Gab, and I'm on Mrs. Wolfe at Signal. No Twitter. Well, yeah, I'm on Twitter too, but I don't actually read Twitter because it makes me angry. I'm on, but I don't read Twitter, so don't Twitter me, right? I'm on Gab. I'm Mrs. Wolfe at Signal, and I'm on Rumble. That's where you're going to find me. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok are completely removed from my social media platforms. I've removed myself from those platforms. I got a message on Messenger that said it was from you for me to sign in to Stigma. That's me. That was me. Before I left Facebook, I messaged everybody I could in Messenger saying, this is where I'm going to have my messages from you guys. It's at Signal, right? It is a messaging app that respects your friggin' privacy. Okay? I saw a lady run her frozen tomatoes under the faucet and skins peeled right off. She dried the skins and made tomato powder out of them, and the tomatoes were skinless and beautiful. Well, that's tomorrow's video. I'm gonna show you because tomorrow's video is I tried to do Heather the Needy Homesteader's oven roasted tomatoes. It didn't work for me because I think she misspoke on a temperature for the oven or the length of time in the oven or whatever, but it didn't work for me at first. So I'm doing a video tomorrow on freezing your tomatoes and pouring boiling water over them, or cutting them fresh and roasting them. That video, I did that, and you're going to see the results, good, bad, and indifferent, and you're going to get my opinion on that tomorrow. Now, zucchini. The zucchini will never be blanched again before I put it in the freezer. Okay, you saw today's video. And if you haven't, go ahead and watch it. Please watch it. I need the views always. But the truth is, the blanching, they should never have been blanched. Somebody made the point, why are you draining water out of them and then blanching them? And a light bulb went off in my head. So I went back and looked at the video and went, she's right. If I slice and salt my zucchini and cover it and let it sit for 3 or 4 hours, I've drained most of the water off of that zucchini with the salt. Give it a rinse, let it drip, put it on your cookie sheet and flash freeze it. The zucchini that I blanched and froze went into my garden medley vegetables yesterday, and I oven roasted them first, and they went to mush. So here's me owning my mistake. Yes, slice them, salt them, let them sit, pour the water off, rinse them, pat them dry or let them drip, and then lay them out on the cookie sheet and flash freeze them. No blanching necessary. That was, I mean, the zucchini was still usable, but it wouldn't have stir-fried very well, and it just went to mush in the roasting process. Hey, Mountain Woodsy, how's it going? Didn't work for me either. I was in tears trying to do that. Well, I figured out how to do it, and it's easy. So I don't dehydrate the skins. Everybody says, dehydrate the skins. But when I look at the skins after they've come off the tomato, to me, they just look like paper. And I don't honestly think there's any flavor in the skins. So I just throw the skins to the compost. That's just my personal preference. But now that I have canned my tomatoes, canned my garden vegetable medley, and I've done the freezing versus roasting video for tomorrow. You're going to get a video of the chicken that I took out of the freezer and canned up to save it. What else is coming down the pipe here, guys? And because the cottage roll was still partially frozen, I made it for supper yesterday with wedges of cabbage. You've seen me do that, the Irish boiled dinner. But instead of throwing out the water, there was a wedge of cabbage left, some floating pieces of onion, and a thick slice of the ham. So what I did was I diced up the ham and dropped it into a half-gallon jar and then filled it all the way to the top with the bits of cabbage and floating onion and the broth that I boiled the ham in. And that is sitting in my fridge because I'm going to be making and canning pea soup. Well, what I'm going to do is I just throw tomatoes in a big bowl and pour hot water over like Mom did, and they stay so I can dice them better. Oh. Okay, my freezer. No, hi, Debbie's Cooking. I'm going to repeat. My freezer did not break down. It was overworking because a towel had dropped down between the wall and the freezer, covering the exhaust vent and making the freezer overwork. Howie pulled the freezer out, put the hinges on it. Thank you, my love. Finally. Put the hinges back on it, took the towel out, and pulled the exhaust vent from away from the wall. So there you go. It's like my ice maker. My ice maker is a countertop ice maker, and it has an exhaust on the side. And too often, somebody will put this dish soap bottle, like my husband will come in and wash his hands, and he'll shove it up against the ice maker, and the ice maker will make ice, but it'll be thin and tired because it's overworking, because that has to be able to vent. If you're putting heat back in by blocking the heat exhaust, then you're overworking it. So it is working again, and next week it's getting clean. No, this week it's getting cleaned. Thursday, it's Thursday night. It's getting cleaned and prepped for my side of beef. Glad you do not need to purchase a new freezer. Yes. Hi, Mel. Hey, Fazy. No, but I already did. I did buy another freezer, but it's only a little Danby one, just in case, because we didn't know yet. Howie didn't have a chance to look at it, but we didn't know yet whether the freezer was going to actually be fixable or not. And it was just a simple solution. So we went on a wild manhunt and found a little Danby freezer for $125. And it's a beautiful little freezer. It's in my pantry, and it's going to be my bread and butter freezer. The small freezer in the porch is getting defrosted this week, and it's going to be my frozen vegetable freezer, and the deep freeze is going to be for meat. Down 18 pounds so far. Awesome. I'm down 25. I know they don't make them like they used to, Joe. That's for sure. Yeah, $17 a half bushel. I paid $12 for a half bushel, and then I paid $9 for a half bushel. $11.99 and then $8.99. But I still have tomatoes. After this, I have to go out and pick tomatoes. I still have tomatoes coming off the vines and going into that box in my cupboard. And they're coming on ripe really quick. So I'm going to be making tomato powder too. That's going to be another video, because I got lots of tomatoes and sauce and stuff. And if I like to be able to have tomato powder to throw in to stuff. And I got a whole bunch of stuff coming. My celery had intermittent watering issues this summer, so a lot of it came out hollow. I won't be canning celery this year, but what's left out there, I'm going to do my best to juice in my grinder juicer, and the pulp I'm going to dehydrate and grind for celery powder. So there's all these things coming up. How long does a side of beef last you and Howie? Well, that's 200 pounds of meat. And it all depends on if, I kind of sweetened the deal. He gave me some venison, so I sent him a half-gallon jar of my dill pickles and 2 jars of jam. So I'm really hoping that I don't have to pay for my soup bones. But it all depends, because I get a cut sheet. That tells me exactly if I want to roast, I'm going to get less hamburger kind of thing. So I'm going to get hamburger. I'm going to get stew meat. But I'm really thinking about getting a cut of brisket, and making my own corned beef and then this winter, and then cutting it up and freezing it. I'm thinking of I want a nice rib roast, because I don't know where we're going to be for Christmas, right? My daughter-in-law is due to give birth to my grandchild on December 19th. So I could be in a motel awaiting the news of my grandchild, or sitting in a waiting room in Peterborough. You know what I mean? Hey, Robin Rose. Under pressure. Hey, Paula. Nice to be here live. Well, I'm going to repeat my leftovers from the boiled dinner is good chopped and fried with butter. Well, but I want to use the broth too, because I boiled it, right? So I'm going to make and canned pea soup because Howie loves my pea soup. Unlike other recipes, I don't put carrots and celery in it. My pea soup is more like a habitant pea soup, where it's you boil the ham bone. In this case, I boiled the whole ham, right? You boil the ham bone. You take the bone out, you leave the shreds of meat in, you fill it full of onions and yellow peas, and you cook it thick. But the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to make sure that the yellow peas I put in it are partially cooked. They're going to be cooked first, and there's going to be adequate enough liquid in the jars to make it cannibal safe canning. My tomatoes are just coming on. I bought tomatoes and canned juice tomatoes, pizza sauce, chili base, and plain sauce. What brand? My brand? My ice makers and Igloo. Hey, Angela. So everybody got the word without me going on Facebook, right? So now that everybody's here, the news. At the very top of this comment thread, you're going to see my Gab link and my Rumble link through these comments. Gab is where my social media is now. Rumble is where you're going to get my absolute uncensored, honest opinion on things. And I am no longer on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook. I have completely left those platforms. So please, folks, come over to Gab. I'm rebuilding the Connected Hearts Facebook page, but it's going to be a Connected Hearts Gab page. Okay, it's going to be a group on Gab so that you don't necessarily have to see all of because Gab is truly uncensored. And when you get truly uncensored, everybody speaks their opinion, whether it's insane or forward thinking or just, whatever. So being uncensored, unlike Facebook, you're going to see everybody's opinion. So you just have to learn to scroll past what you don't like. But it is freedom of speech. So I am on Gab, and whenever I put out a video, it will only be posted on Gab. Okay? So when I put out a video from YouTube, it'll only be posted on Gab. And I'm actually hoping I can do some lives on Rumble through my Cooking with Cannabis YouTube page, because it's been demonetized anyway. And as long as I have over 1,000 subscribers on that page, I can live stream from it. And all they can do is, take down the video, right? How did Howie do at the doctor's? Well, he's had a flare-up of it will vary from family to family with a side of beef. How big of a side is what cuts you get, etc. Well, I paid for 200 pounds of meat. And it will vary on what I get. But it's not going to vary, actually, Joe, because the meat, the hamburger, and the roasts are all one price. He gets one price from his butcher, and because he put a sticker on Howie's car and and sponsored Howie's car, we got our 200 pounds of beef for $5 a pound, cut and wrapped. Everywhere else that's local is twice that. And normally his prices, I think, are $6 cut and wrapped. And he's in Ottawa. So let me, I don't know the phone number, but I'm telling you, it's on one of my racing videos, the sponsorship plug I did. It's on the back of Howie's car. Howie, I have no room on my phone for any more apps. Well, Angie, fortunately, you have my phone number and we talk every day, right? But waiting for enough peppers to make chili sauce. We use it for sloppy joes. Well, my peppers are anything nice and big. I'm just going to flash free, like hollow out and leave as a cup and flash freeze. And the rest I'll get sliced up and I'll flash freeze those and they're going to get frozen. I know. That's why the man got 2 jars of jam and a half gallon of pickles, because he gave me 4 pounds of ground venison. Because you can't sell venison in Canada, right? Unless you can't sell wild game for profit in this country, unless you have a farm of those animals. You just have to unload some of the shit off your phone, Angie. So Howie's doctor's appointment, his cholesterol is awesome, his blood pressure is awesome, his blood sugar levels are awesome, but he had a flare up with gout. And I said, okay, well, we've been eating a lot of red meat. And the doctor said, no, it's not necessarily that. Now, this is his first flare up in like 12 years. So it's been so long, he didn't even know it. He didn't even recognize it as gout. Before, his gout would flare up once a month or so, and it would be really bad, right? I don't know who owns Gab, but it ain't Mark Zuckerberg, and that's all that matters to me. Mark Zuckerberg actually went on an interview with Joe Rogan. If you have Spotify, go to the Joe Rogan Experience and watch his interview with Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg pretty much admits that the FBI said, well, there could be a flood of misinformation coming in around, this election stuff or this or that. And you may want to dial back or whatever. And Mark Zuckerberg said, okay, no, people can still share that stuff. It's just not going to get shared as much. And he comes right out and admits that he got tipped off by the FBI and started censoring off that FBI tip. Do you know what that means? That means Facebook works for the FBI. And I found out that everything I was posting on my regular page, they were no longer putting me in Facebook jail. They stopped putting me in Facebook jail. They just stopped 90% of you seeing my feed. Oh, it still gets shared, just not as much. Censorship. Hey, Attagirl, how's it going? Yeah, I have deleted all I can. I use an old phone as well. We will for sure chat on phone. Absolutely. I have flash frozen about 30 peppers and put them in bags for making stuffed peppers. Thanks for that suggestion. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm not going to be making any more tomato sauce. Well, I shouldn't say that because tomatoes are coming ripe like crazy right now. And but tonight I'm having a tomato cucumber salad for supper. I've been eating way too much meat. Ate cottage roll last night, ate steak the night before, and the night before that. And I've put a pound back on. And I realized something. So don't say it, Angie. And don't crack the whip on me. I realized that it takes a lot more work and time for your body to digest and sort through meat. I was losing weight so fast because vegetables are like your body goes, oh, veggies, num, 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 whoop, out the other end, right? It was DARPA made and gave to Zuckerberg. But, so I'm off meat. Tonight I've got I don't think I can do a video for it, but I will do a video later. Okay. Another time. But, I've got one of my jars of chicken. Yes, it's sealed, but I think some vinegar got under the lid. And when I took it out of the canner, the inside part of the inside of the lid had black on it. So I just put it in the fridge and went, okay, I'll use that one first, right? What was banned from over 25 companies? From Google and Apple due to pornographic content and hate speech. Yeah, it's called, well, pornography. I've never seen any pornography on Gab. None. Okay? And hate speech is still free speech. I'm not advocating people go out and hate on people, but it happens. And everybody has a right to their opinion. They're like assholes. Everybody has one, and 90% of most of them stink, or they all stink. But we still have a right to say what we feel and what we think. It's your right to scroll past, not ask a social media company to censor it for you. Pornography, absolutely, that's illegal. Full stop. Everything else is, free speech is free speech, whether you agree with it or not. It's still, you can't have free speech and still want the shit censored out. You either have free speech and learn to scroll, or you stay on Facebook and let them feed you whatever the propaganda government wants them to feed you. Because that's basically what Mark Zuckerberg admitted to. Gab has been banned from its Android app. Yeah, and they don't want yours. You're right. It says Gap has been banned from its Android app. Well, then they must be doing something right if Google's banning them. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Free speech is free speech. What are they going to do? Ban Rumble next? Start censoring. There's no end to it. That's the whole point. Right? There could be guys in white sheets and hoods and burning crosses walking down the street, stating their opinion. And we're going to hate it. And we're going to want to throw tomatoes at them. But it's their right to do so. Look at what happened with the convoy in Canada. That was allowed to happen, and because the Prime Minister decided not to talk to the terrorists, the people that he called racist, misogynists, anti-science freaks. And because he decided not to talk to them, they locked down Ottawa when all he had to do was talk. We're not terrorists. We're Canadian citizens who peacefully gathered to talk to the Prime Minister, and he hid. Period. Full stop. And then he used it as an excuse, and a very flimsy one, to invoke the Emergencies Act. This is stuff you'll see me talk about on Rumble. Okay? So that he could invoke the Emergencies Act and make broad sweeping changes to laws so he could get his own way. And this man only had 32% of the vote. Something's wrong with the system. And I hope to God Pierre Poilievre is not just another devil promising hope like Trudeau was. Yeah, fringe minority, right? I'm an adult. I don't need another mommy and daddy. Exactly. I'm just telling you I won't be able to get on it. Oh, okay, Ange. You get on it on your desktop. It's on your desktop, right? You can join on your desktop. Yeah, thank you, Alice. Dairy price going up again. Butter now $8.50 a pound. Where the hell is that, Laverne? Oh, yeah, and thank you for all the emails that you sent me about where. Now, remember, when you send me an email, make sure you send the date when you saw these sales or the prices, the province or state or town you live in, and that the store you saw it at. that allows me to do kind of like a run it once a week commentary saying, okay, this was this date to this date, and tell me what the date is on the sale too, beginning and end date, and let's just keep the communication running on where things are going. Apparently gas prices are dropping. They're down somewhere to $1.58 a liter, folks, a quart, not a gallon, in Ottawa, and we're still paying $1.80 some up here. But the truth is, it doesn't matter, dropping those prices to try and soothe people isn't going to work. Trudeau's already going to add another carbon tax of another 100% or 200%, I heard. Don't quote me. Look at the Pierre Poilievre video I shared on Gab. What was I going to say? But dropping the prices to $1.58 is not, that's just a band-aid. The whole system has to change. The whole system has to change. We can't get rid of fossil fuel burning vehicles. And if you force farmers to use less fertilizer, they have to grow more acreage to compensate for the lack of the fertilizer, which means their combines and their tractors and their seeders and their harvesters are all going to have to cover more ground, burning more fossil fuels. And then the shipping and the trucking companies, okay, are going to burn more, taking less to market. How is that going to work, Mr. Trudeau? Right? So, hey, how's it going? I'm in Vernon, BC. I'm paying $1.76 for gas. California is banning gas vehicles by 2035. Well, California is going to be a desert by then anyway. The Great Reset. Yeah. I mean, it's not like Klaus Schwab hasn't actually written books about what he plans. And people like Biden and Trudeau are eating it up. And guess what? I'm not lying, because Klaus Schwab said, we're infiltrating governments, like with young men like Prime Minister Trudeau, a lovely young man. And you know who was sitting in the front row of that speech? Joe Biden and Leonardo DiCaprio. So we all know mainstream media has been lying to us, so we can't rely on it anymore. And we know Facebook and YouTube are censoring us. So I'm going to keep my YouTube channels, of course, and I'm going to continue to toe the line because this is my day job, right? And I love you guys. Thank God. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't for you guys. But it is my income that I cannot afford to mess with. But Rumble's where you're going to get the bald truth. And I don't do Rumble very often yet. Gab is where I'm going to be posting all my YouTube videos from now on. And I've left Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And I've scraped them off. And that's that. So I saw a farmer do a video, and he stated the hike increases was seeing now is due to last year. The inflation for this year will not be reflected until next year. Where's what? That video, where's what? That video? It's on my Rumble channel, which is somewhere in the comments thread up here. But I met Trudeau when I was in high school for law, and I knew he seemed a bit phony. He's a drama teacher. He's a drama teacher. He's an empty-headed cotton ninny muggins. And that head is so empty that anybody that pays him attention is going to fill it full of crap, and we're the ones that are going to pay the price for it. meet your straw man and everything you need to know. So unless we start saying no, right? Like September 11th this year is going to see a convoy, I've heard, of from the east coast of Canada all the way to, I think it is BC or Alberta. And it's all going to be perfectly legal. They're going to have lawyers. And I think they're going to the RCMP to respectfully demand certain government officials be arrested for fraud, be arrested for lying to the public, being arrested for making free with the Emergencies Act to use it as an excuse to do whatever he wanted. September 11th, because our country is calling 911. It's about your all caps name. Ninny Muggins popped in just as you said that. Everyone should get the book. Anyway, so this is what's going on. Don't blanch your zucchini. Salt it. Let it, the salt pull all the water, most of the water out. Drain it, rinse it, let it drip, and then flash freeze it on cookie sheets. No blanching necessary. All it did in the roaster was turn to mush. Hang on a second. Let me go over to Gab. Okay, I'm going to tilt you guys for a second, okay? This is my Gab channel. Oops. Oh, hi, hippie. I don't censor people out. I block people who are rude, crude, disrespectful, and otherwise belligerent. Please take note. That is my right to protect my personal emotional safety. That's for my own safety. That's not censoring. I'm not censoring. I'm blocking people who are rude, crude, belligerent, or disrespectful. All right. Did you get the Gab? Okay, now I'm going to go over to Rumble. And yes, my Cooking with Cannabis is coming back. There are some videos on my Rumble channel, but I'm starting a Cooking with Cannabis channel on Rumble too. And here we go. Paste. And there, and let's pop this back up. Thank you, Joe Mama. Anyway, folks, that's what I wanted. Thank you, Kelly Chaos. Hi. The trolls will follow wherever I go. And that's just a part of putting most of your life out on the internet. Okay. Not all of my life, but those who've been with me for a long time know the journey I have been traveling. Right. And I have a right to protect myself from people issuing harm and evil intent. You know what I mean? Or wishing me harm. I have a right to block those people. That's just the way it is. Is there a place to follow you on both apps? For some reason, I seem to miss it. Well, there's Rumble, and above it is me on Gab. Okay? And before I left Facebook, I sent out instant messenger to probably 100 people saying my messenger is now Signal. I know not everybody's going to get it, but then there's also my connectedheartsfamily@gmail.com email. All right. So send me any questions to Connected Hearts Family. Whoops. the heck just happened? I just lost my chat. Hang on a second. I can't see my chat now. Frig. There we go. There's the chat. All right. Now remember, if you are sending me what sales are on, what gas prices are like, send me the date. And if you're quoting a flyer or a store, make sure you list the store and list the date of the sale. Okay? List the store and the gas stations where the gas is crappy or good. All right? And I will do like a bulletin every Friday. Ready for more of Bev's home economic lessons? Well, one of them is going to be my freezer broke, canning my chicken to save it. All right, guys, this is Mrs. Wolfe from Our Half Acre Homestead saying I have a lot more editing to do, and I got a lot of dishes to do, and then I have a freezer to defrost. So once I get my editing done, I'm taking tomorrow off to do some knitting. All right, take care. God bless. And remember, I'm not on Facebook anymore. I'm not on Instagram, and I'm not on TikTok. I am on Gab, and I am on Rumble. The links are in the description box. No, they're not. They're in the comments, but I will put them in the description box after I shut this video down. All right? Mwah! Take care. God bless, guys.